Hi! This is a review of Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. I read this book last year during my master's for my apocalyptic fiction course. I made several attempts at writing an essay on this book, as you can tell from all the stickers. I've also underlined lots of stuff in this book, which I usually only do when I'm writing essays. It was great because this time I had extensive notes to go through. I was pretty happy about that since I read this book a year ago. As you can see, I own the movie cover. Now this book has a serious lack of pretty covers. Most of you are probably familiar with the story because of the movie. I know I was. But while I was reading this book, I discovered that the movie is pretty different from the book. I Am Legend was published in 1954, and according to the internet, it was influential in the development of the zombie genre and in popularizing the concept of a worldwide apocalypse due to disease. By now, both of these things have kind of become cliche, but while you're reading this book, it's nice to keep this in mind. I Am Legend is a story of Robert Neville, who is blonde with blue eyes. That's the first issue I came across, trying to get that image in my head instead of this one. He is the only man still left alive, as far as he knows, and he is located in Los Angeles. He's lost his daughter and his wife due to this disease, and basically he spends his life in his fortified house, and at night he is literally haunted by the dead. When the people died, they seem to have turned into a sort of vampire, but Neville's not quite sure if they're actual vampires. During the night, there are vampire ladies outside of his window lifting up their skirts trying to get him to go outside. His old neighbor is also dead and is constantly yelling at him. During the day, Neville goes out and tries to kill as many vampires as possible because that's when they're inside and asleep. He has some issues trying to keep sane. He spends most of his nights drunk and throwing glasses against the wall and then passing out and doing it all over again. At some point he decides that he is gonna try and cure these people, or at least find a way to kill all of them. He starts experimenting with different ways of killing them, and he goes to a library and tries to do research, but he doesn't really know anything about science, so he gets very frustrated in his search for a cure. Besides the character and the setting, there are some major differences between the book and the movie. For example, in the movie it starts out with an explanation that people have found a cure for cancer, and then slowly that mutates and ends up killing people, which kind of shows us what our fear is. We aren't as afraid of worldwide disease as we are of genetic modification. The threat that was picked for the modern movie adaptation is man-made. What I also find very interesting about the book is that Neville has so much time to reflect on everything he's ever done, so he thinks about his dad and how he was never the person that his dad wanted him to be. And being the last man alive also makes him ask some very interesting questions. Also, in case you're curious, the ending is completely different from the movie. What I haven't told you yet is that the other half of the book consists of short stories, which, as I remember it correctly, I enjoyed for the most part. Some of them were really interesting, like The Dance of the Dead, and some of them were a bit predictable. It's been a year since I read this book, but I remember really enjoying the writing style. It was a pretty easy read, a bit frustrating at times, but I really want to reread it soon. This one is definitely worth reading. In the comments you can let me know if you've read I Am Legend and what you thought of it, and I will talk to you guys later. Doei!
Hell me cool.